Hello, welcome. Today we will discuss generation and detection of DSP full carrier and DSP suppressed carrier signals. In today's class, we will discuss the double sideband full carrier amplitude modulation generation, detection, the double sideband full carrier amplitude modulation limitations, double sideband suppressed carrier amplitude modulation, the double sideband suppressed carrier generation, detection, bandwidth of DSPSC wave, power calculation of DSPSC wave, and super heterodyne receivers. Regarding the double sideband full carrier generation, as the circuit shown on the right hand side is known as the square law modulator, in which the carrier signal, which is the AC cos omega ct, and the message signal source are taken in series, and their algebraic summation is applied to the nonlinear device such as the diode. So therefore, the nonlinear device characteristics can be given as V out is equal to AV in plus A2 V in square. So where V in is nothing but the superposition of the message and carrier signal. So therefore, the algebraic sum of these two signal, if applied as V in, then we can easily get an expression of V out, which is given below. So from this equation, after simplification, we are getting that the higher term of the message signal may be omitted because the message signal magnitude is very small compared to the carrier signal magnitude. Therefore, the resulting signal will be taken by collecting the first two terms. One is the unmodulated carrier signal, another is the product of the message and the carrier frequency, so that we can get the upper sideband and the lower sidebands. The double sideband full carrier amplitude modulation detection can be done using the envelope detector, which is comprising of a diode followed by a resistor in parallel capacitor. The circuit looks like a half-wave rectifier in which when the amplitude modulated signal is applied, as the carrier magnitude is reaching the peak value and thereafter it is falling frequently compared to the message signal, which is resetting at the envelope. So diode will be forward biased for the rising part of the signal, and when it is reaching the peak value, the capacitor is charged up to the peak value, and thereafter when the carrier signal falls at that time, the capacitor voltage is higher compared to the input signal. Therefore, the diode is reverse biased. So capacity stored charge will be discharging through the load resistor, but this time will be longer as the choice of capacitor and resistor is such that the product of this R and C produces the time constant of the circuit, which is much higher compared to the time period of the carrier signal, but very small compared to the message signal time period. So therefore, the carrier time period is very small compared to the time constant, and that is why the discharge time will be longer compared to the charging time instant. So in this way, the capacitor is frequently charged and discharges for a longer period. So therefore, the capacity voltage is almost proportional to the voltage which is residing at the envelope of the modulated signal. So in this way, the envelope is detected by this circuit, which is proportional to the message signal. Now regarding the double sideband full carrier amplitude modulation detection, here the interval between two successive carrier peak is 1 by Fc and the Rc. This means that the time constant Rc is much larger than the interval between the two successive carrier peaks. So therefore, the carrier voltage can be given approximately as Vct equal to E0 into 1 minus T by Rc. Now from this equation, we can easily find out the relation 1 by Rc is equal to omega m into the numerator mu into sin omega m into T0 by 1 plus mu into cos omega m T0. So this is the mathematical condition which should be satisfied for the envelope detector for faithful detection. If we carry out some lines more for the same expression, we can get the relation between the product of the R and C, that is the time constant, and the modulation index of the amplitude modulated signal. Though in amplitude modulation there are two number of sidebands and one unmodulated carrier, there is a wastage of power which occurs in case of amplitude modulation due to the presence of this unmodulated carrier. Now this can be reduced if we suppress the unmodulated carrier. The double sideband suppressed carrier signal will be generated, which will carry the message information, but the percentage of efficiency will be much higher compared to the double sideband full carrier signal. So that is why the unmodulated carrier is a limitation for the double sideband full carrier signal. The double sideband suppressed carrier amplitude modulated signal can be generated by using the product of the message and carrier signal. So here the message signal has been assumed as the mt equal to am into cos of 2 pi fmt, and the carrier signal is assumed as ct equal to ac into cos 2 pi fct. Now if I take the product of the message and carrier, that will produce two number of sidebands, upper sideband and lower sideband. Therefore the unmodulated carrier signal, which is a disadvantage of DSP FC, has been removed. The DSB-SC generation can be done easily using a balanced modulator in which two number of amplitude modulator circuit has been used. Message is applied with two type of polarity. Positive is applied at the top and the negative is applied at the bottom. The local oscillator is also fed to both the amplitude modulator so that carrier signal can be introduced in the modulated signal. So whatever is the resulting signal, if we take the difference of those two signals, we can get the resulting signal is having no unmodulated carrier. Therefore it's a product of the message and carrier which are having upper sideband and lower sideband. So the main target of double sideband suppressed carrier is to generate two number of sidebands which are carrying information and suppress the unmodulated carrier, which is a wastage of power in the modulated signal. So therefore we can increase the amount of figure of merit. The DSB-SC detection can be done by a synchronous coherent detector. The coherent detector is a detector in which the carrier signal is having the same phase and frequency with that present in the incoming modulated signal. That means two number of carrier. In the modulated signal there is a carrier signal. In the local oscillator there is a generation of the local carrier signal. So these two signal, if matched at the same frequency and phase, then the coherent detection is possible. That means this carrier signal is multiplied with the modulated signal. So in the product, the carrier signal will be squared. So if it is squared, the average value is half, which could be obtained by a low pass filter. Therefore, the message signal could be easily extracted. But sometimes in practical situation, this local oscillator carrier frequency is not properly matched to the incoming modulated carrier. So that is why they have a small amount of phase difference which is arising or appearing at the demodulated output. So if the phase is scaled to be unity, or if it is removed, then only the output will be proportional to the actual information or actual message. The DSB-SC detection, as we have discussed, the carrier signal locally generated is multiplied with the incoming modulated carriers, where phi is the amount of phase present. So therefore this phi, that is phase which is present in the local carrier, there is a phase difference present in the local carrier with reference to the carrier present in the modulated signal. We are getting the cos phi component. This cos phi component has to be scaled to 1, or it may be reduced to a very negligible value so that the output will be proportional to the message signal. Here xt is the message signal, so v0t will be proportional to message signal, and it will be almost equal to message signal if other factors which are associated to the message signal may be removed. The bandwidth of the DSP-SC waveform is similar to the DSP-FC waveform, because here only the carrier magnitude has been removed from the signal, but not the two sidebands. So as two sidebands are occupying some amount of bandwidth, their summation will be the total bandwidth of the DSP-SC signal. So normally whatever is the bandwidth of the message signal, 2 times of the message signal bandwidth is appearing for the DSP-SC signal. So here ST is the product of the message and carrier, and which is producing two number of sidebands. One is FC plus FM, another is FC minus FM. So these are the two edge frequencies. If we take the difference of these two edge frequency, we can get the message bandwidth is 2 times of message frequency. The power calculation of the DSBSC is quite straightforward. The ST is the DSBSC signal expression, of which both are cosine signal, so we can easily find out the RMS value of the signal for the upper sideband and lower sideband, and if we take the square, then we are getting the normalized power. So if there is a resistance R present, then Vrms square by R will be the total amount of power. If we carry out the power calculation little bit more, we can get the separate expression for the upper sideband power and the lower sideband power. Therefore, their summation provides the total summation, total power of the DSBSC waveform. An important part of the demodulation of the signal, which is broadly used for the FM and AM and FM system, is called the super heterodyne receiver. In 1918, Edwin Armstrong invented the idea of a heterodyne receiver. Heterodyning is the translation of a signal from a higher radio frequency carrier signal to a lower intermediate frequency. The RF section consists of tunable filter and amplifier that picks up the desired station. The frequency translates the carrier frequency omega c to a fixed frequency omega if, because super heterodyning means whatever is the signal received by the antenna will be amplified by the radio frequency amplifier, and thereafter it is fed to the mixer circuit. In the mixer circuit, there is a presence of local oscillator signal. So local oscillator and the incoming modulated signal are multiplied. Therefore, we are getting summation and difference frequency. The difference frequency should be as low as possible, and here that intermediate frequency is set for 455 kilohertz. Therefore, the local oscillator is intentionally kept at higher frequency compared to the incoming carrier frequency by an amount 455 kilohertz, so that after the difference of the two carrier frequencies, we are getting the carrier frequency reduced to a lower value, that is 455 kilohertz, so that now if the modulated signal is processed by the circuit, then the design of the amplifier and filter will be less expensive as well as less complex, because at higher frequency the complexity as well as the cost of realization of the filter and amplifier are very high. So to reduce this disadvantage, we can keep the local oscillator frequency little bit higher compared to the incoming modulated carrier signal by 455 kilohertz. So this is the commercial value by which it has been set. The entire selectivity is realized in intermediate frequency section. The purpose of RF section is to suppress image frequency. The output of mixer is the difference between the incoming frequency, that is the carrier frequency, and the local oscillator frequency FLO. So therefore, FIF is equal to FLO minus FC. For example, FC is 1000 kilohertz and FLO is FC plus FIF. That means it is 1455 kilohertz. That is 1455 kilohertz. So at the same time, another carrier frequency, say FLO equal to 1455 plus 455, that is 1910. So this is known as the image frequency. So along with the 1455 1910 station also be picked up by the RF section. The station 1910 is known as the image frequency at 1000 kilohertz. Now amplitude modulation stations, those are at F2 FIF, that is 910 kilohertz. Apart from the main carrier frequency are for the image stations. The RF filter has poor selectivity against a station separated by 10 kilohertz, but has a good selectivity for the stations of 910 kilohertz. So that is why such a high frequency will be eliminated. Now, as we see on the block diagram on the right hand side. Here the antenna receives a signal, and therefore thereafter it is amplified by the RF amplifier. The frequency converter or mixer is a circuit which is taking the received signal as well as the local oscillator signal. So local oscillator signal is kept at higher carrier frequency by intermediate frequency. Therefore, the multiplier followed by a low pass filter produces the reduced carrier frequency, which is called the intermediate carrier frequency, which is amplified by the IF amplifier, and thereafter it is demodulated by the detector, and finally it is fed to the audio amplifier so that we can get the audio signal at the loudspeaker. Therefore, the intended application has received the extracted information. Now here image frequency has an important role. That means image frequency is sometimes uh, wrongly tracked by the receiver, which should be rejected. So how to understand the image frequency? It is the carrier frequency plus 2 times of FIF. So as we have discussed in the last slide, that FR is 1000 kilohertz and FIF is 455 kilohertz. Therefore 2 times of 455 means 910 kilohertz. So if we add this 910 with 1000, it will be 1910 kilohertz. So image frequency should have the good selectivity of the receiver to reject the image frequency. The received radio frequency signal is mixed with the frequency FRF plus 2 FIF, and then corresponding frequency at the mixer output is F oscillator minus FRF minus 2 FIF. Therefore that will be equal to FIF. So hence the unwanted image frequency is passed through the IF filter, may produce unwanted message. The frequency deviation of the received FRF hence should not be exceeded to FRF plus 2 FIF for unwanted message reception. Now here is an important problem which is telling that in a super heterodyne receiver, though the intermediate frequency 455 kilohertz, the broadband frequency ranges from 540 kilohertz to 1600 kilohertz. You have to determine the tuning range of the local oscillator when FLO is greater than FC, that means super heterodyne receiver, and when FLO is less than FC. Comparing these two cases state the advantages of super heterodyne principle. That means normally local oscillator is kept higher than carrier frequency, but if it is kept lower than carrier frequency, where is the fault that you have to detect? Now the first step is using the super heterodyne principle. FLO is kept higher than carrier frequency, and that is why the calculation has been carried out with higher carrier frequency, where we are finding the local oscillator frequency is 995 kilohertz and the local oscillator frequency is 2055 kilohertz. That means as the carrier frequency is having range 540 to 1600 kilohertz, therefore two number of local oscillator frequencies we are getting. So local oscillator range, the tuning range is 995 to 2055 kilohertz. Now without super heterodyning, what we are getting? FLO is less than FRF. Therefore the FLO will be 540 minus 455, that means 85 kilohertz to 1145 kilohertz. Now in case 1, if you take the FLO max by FLO min, then it will be 2.07 by 1. But in the second case, is always preferred. Therefore, the commercial radio receiver employs super heterodyne principle. That means the local oscillator frequency should be at higher value compared to the incoming carrier signal, because we need the tuning range for the receiver section, commercial receiver, at lower value.